500 billion. A road like Kampala Masaka, when we reconstructed it, we used 440 billion. So the money here that we would lose from that, just this, the tax would be like enough, more than enough, like what we used on reconstructing Kampala Masaka. So that means all these plans we have planned, this road should be done, this road should be done, this one, this power here, this would now have to stop. All that would have to stop, and we simply consume more sugar, more what? Okay, that's good, but is it wise? Is it wise? Because we need to solve these big problems. The road, the electricity, but for the internal goods, what you would lose would be the taxes. Because there is no dollars, there are no dollars involved. You lose the taxes, you lose the taxes, and you would lose the plans which those taxes were supposed to implement. We could see that the route to tax cuts and subsidies, even for the locally produced goods, was not a wise one. What then is the wise way? The wise way. The wise ways are therefore the following. The wise ways are therefore the following. Number one, to use frugally. To use frugally these imported items, kuketed items, kukekereza, kwerembaremba, 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 kubyesonyiwa, to look for alternatives, to look for alternatives. If the alternatives are there, if the alternatives are there, either kukekereza or okwesonyiwa, by looking for alternatives. To use our own raw materials, to use our own raw materials, to use our own raw materials, such as sunflower oil, and castor oil, and sugar, for soap, as we wait for the expanded palm oil production, which takes longer. But sunflower takes only 4 months. For bread, we can use our banana and cassava flour for bread making, apart from eating the traditional foods. For many years now, I do not eat wheat bread nor rice. I eat our richer indigenous foods of Akaro, millet, muhogo, cassava, empogora, bananas cooked in their skin, ebinyobwa, ground nuts, obushaza, peas, and beef, inyama. Nearing 78 years of age in September, Years of age in September. I'm doing very well on these foods. On these foods. I really don't know why. I really don't know why Africans would leave these foods. These foods, I was only eating rice when I was in Tanzania, and I had no alternative. No alternative. No alternative. But as soon as ever since I came back, I don't think I've touched rice. Touched rice. From 1979. From 1979. From 1979, you can imagine. Except when I go abroad. Except when I go abroad, outside. That's when. Outside. That's when. I have no hesitation. I have no hesitation bearing testimony for our much better indigenous food. Millet is the only cereal in nature that has got protein, carbohydrates, and iron. The doctors are here. They can tell me what the doctors are here. They can tell me what there's any other that has got iron. I doubt very much. To have the three: protein, carbohydrates, and iron. I had also read something comparable for sorghum. However, for the indigenous sorghum, there was the problem of some bitterness. However, with the biotechnology by our researchers, the bitterness can be removed. The bitterness can be removed. We, the Ntungamoist, you can call me a Ntungamoist, can call me a man of Ntungamo. The only advantage we found in bread was convenience in storing and transporting. This is the advantage. This is the advantage I saw in bread, because it is easy. I saw in bread because it is easier to store, to transport, like that. I don't know how long it lasts once it is baked. But it lasts. But the flour of maize, of akalo can stay for a long time. And the kalo can stay for a long time. So I think they are even the story. I think they are even the story. Maybe the advantage of bread, transporting and storing when ready for eating. But the flour can last long time. However, even that one of ready to eat. This is what Dr. Muranga in Nyaruzinga, in Bushenyi, is going to solve with the banana flour. And cassava flour, which are much healthier than the wheat flour, that has got the problem of dry gluten, which is 9.9% and 9%, and therefore is not good for human body. The scientists say that this wheat is not so good. For the human body because of this gluten. Which is in the wheat. The Minister of Agriculture is going to guide you as to how our farmers can upscale the production of the sunflower and castor oil seeds for vegetable oil, for soap making, as well as bananas and cassava for flour for bread. Sunflower takes just 4 months, and castor oil seeds and sugar take 140 to 180 days to produce pods. With palm oil, I hear that Indonesia and Malaysia have banned the export of that item, and therefore removing the tax would not change anything. This leaves the problem of petrol and diesel. Products for which we do not have an easy local replacement until our own oil comes on stream in 2025 with the first production and the refinery expected in 2026 and we refine some of it for the final product. Even before the war in Ukraine, the price of fuel was going up. On account of the worry by the fossil fuel producers of the global movement for clean energy. Solar, wind, nuclear, geothermal, hydropower, and hydrogen. Because there is that movement which is good movement to go from fossil this oil to this which produces carbon dioxide, which interferes with the atmosphere, with these cleaner sources of energy: solar, wind, nuclear, geothermal, hydropower, hydrogen. There was a conference in Scotland, and there was a plan to within some coming years, and we go to electric cars and so on, Now, because of that, on account of that fear, the petroleum companies were apparently no longer exploring for new reserves. Because of that, okwera likiroko, nti ebya oil bigenda kukomeyo mu maaso, looking for new oil, they stopped. Yet the new clean energies would take time to be available. The Russian-Ukraine war has made it worse. Just before the Ukrainian war, it is now US dollars 114 per barrel. Therefore, the Ukrainian war has added another US dollar 34 per barrel. Of course, this is an artificial addition. Caused by the countries of the global north, the Bazungu, mishandling their bilateral relations, and also mishandling global affairs as well. We are quietly engaging these actors to see how these actors can remove this artificial burden from the world. Because now this extra $34 is really caused by our Bazungu friends. Because the Bazungu are the ones involved in all this. The Bazungu of Buraya, Europe, the ones of America, and the ones of Russia. So we are talking with them quiet. I don't want to go into the details here, but this is artificial. The real structural problem of the oil is the $80, the $80. But this extra 34 can be removed. Because, for instance, I hear because you see the Bazungu are fighting. They have now boycotted Russian oil. So Russia has got the oil, but I hear now Russia has reduced the the amount of oil the amount of oil they are refining every day by 1 million barrels a day, because the other Bazungu have boycotted this and because of that you have the shortage. So this is artificial. It's not the other one. Not the other one. The other one of worrying about the future of oil is more structural, is more organic with the problem. With the problem. So if it was the only one, I think we would end up like $80. That's what it was. That's what it was before the Ukrainian war. So this one is solvable. Even the problem of wheat, those who want wheat, because the Russians have blockaded the Ukrainian ports, and I hear within the ports there are 25 million tons of wheat. So even the wheat eaters could do, if these people if they are a bit humble, because the problem is humility. Everybody berege. Buli omu yemanyi nti yekitalo naye singa byetowazako both the wheat and the oil, the petroleum, and even the fertilizers. You remember the fertilizers? And even the fertilizers. You remember the fertilizers also a problem, because they are produced by Russia, I hear. So this one, rather than saying that that we should waste our money, our reserves and abandon our plans. Because of the these wars among these people. We would rather persuade them so that we continue with our plan, our plans for infrastructure, for what, and try to persuade these people. To please remove your artificial problem. If they agree, good. If they agree, good. If they don't, we create a higher base. We create a higher base for ourselves. Where we can say bye bye. You can continue with your own things. We are safer. Instead of aborting our journey, for these temporary and irrational positions by others, then we shall not be safer. They may not. It may continue for a long time. Do we abort our journey indefinitely or what? So that's why this one, I think the short term is the answer is diplomatic engagement with these actors, who have caused this problem. Nevertheless, this artificial distortion, This artificial distortion should not divert us from our long-distance journey of achieving socio-economic transformation, because that is the only way of not only increasing our affluence, but also immunizing. Also, we need to continue until we achieve immunity from the mistakes of others. And I can say already we have some immunity. We already have some immunity because of what has been done, in spite of being obstructed by some elements within Uganda that many times delay our programs. The way we have been able to transcend the recent challenges of locusts. You remember locusts? You remember locusts? Locusts, there is an organization called Desert Locust Control. It never did anything. It never did anything. We control the locust. We control the locust ourselves. That's ourselves. Because we had the capacity. Who helped us control the locust? Nobody. How about the floating islands? Nobody. I even tried to contact some people. Some people. Nobody. How about the rising water? The rising water. That water would have caused a lot of damage. But the good thing is that we had increased the outlet. In 1964, when the water rose up, the water which could go through the spirit channel was 1,300 cubic meters per second. 1964. If we still were like that, those dams would have been flooded. But now we can go to 4,000 cubic meters per second. That's how we were able to handle it. We slow down. We slow down our capacity building in order to deal with these temporary issues. Is very dangerous because we may be overtaken by problems. We would rather okekereza the problems that face us and continue building capacity, because it is in capacity. Because it is that which will now immunize us even for the future. Even with the high commodity prices, we are still doing much better than many countries in the world. Our inflation has risen. From 2.7% before the artificial crisis to to 4.9% now. 9% now. 9% now. Our inflation is now 4. Our inflation is now 4.9. 0.9. Compare this with other countries. Compare this with other countries. UK 9%. UK 9%. USA 8.3%. France 4.8%. Germany 7.4%. Italy 6%. Spain 8.3%. Spain 8.3%. Russia 17.8%. 10.8%. 10.8%. China 2.1%. Those are the ones who 2.1%. Those are the ones who are lower than us. Who are lower than us. Kenya 6.47%. 6.47%. Tanzania is also lower than us. Also lower than us. 3.8%. Rwanda 10.5%. Ghana 23.6%. Why is the inflation still down here compared to other countries? Because of what we did. We have more maize. We have more bananas. More Irish potatoes. More Irish potatoes. More sugar. Now, suppose we had not built that. Now, suppose we had not built that capacity. Where would we be? Where would we be now? Now. So that's why being diverted by this temporary, then you abandon your long-term journey is a big mistake. If it was not for the endless obstructions to our programs, e.g. the palm oil project in Buvuma, Sango Bay would even be much better off. With our coming petroleum, Uganda will be immune to the external disruptions. Working with our African brothers, Uganda and Africa will be prosperous. Irrespective of the actions of the mistake makers. Short of using nuclear weapons among themselves. Which may affect the whole world. Let us therefore not be diverted. We are self-sufficient in food, maize, bananas, cassava, milk, beef, Irish potatoes, beans, peas, fruits, etc. This is one of the most important factors of survival in terms of peril like this. When you have got a problem, this is the biggest factor of survival. Some of the countries in parts of the world, they are very, in parts of the world, they are very in a bad situation now. Bad situation now. Yeah. 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 Because they depend, I hear some of them would depend 80%. I hear some of them would depend 80% on wheat from some on wheat from some other place. Mother place. I don't want to mention countries. But for us, we have these other foods. The other one is, if it's there, you eat it. If it's not, you would survive. You would survive. So we already do, because of what we did in the past, we are safe. We are safe because we have most of the things we need. We have got good infrastructure. We have got electricity, surplus electricity. Yeah. Good roads in many parts of the country. Educated manpower. Yeah. We have got good infrastructure. We have a strong army for guaranteeing peace. And we are beginning to pay our scientists. Well. This question of paying scientists is very, very crucial. If you want to have, because with our scientists, we are now making everything except aeroplanes. We are making the cars, electric car, Chira. We are making the vaccines. We are making the agro processed products, agro-processed products. only the plane we are not making now. The rest we can make ourselves. But we need a market. That's why we must work with the African brothers. Apart from the internal market. Nothing can stop us from growing if we work with our African brothers and sisters and other people of goodwill. Actually, in my opinion, the only really serious vulnerabilities for Uganda are two. Continuing to depend so much on rain-fed agriculture, and the damage to our incomparable good environment by the encroaching on the wetlands, lake shores, riverbanks, forests, and steep gradient mountain cliffs. To me, these are the only two danger points. We must move away from rain-fed agriculture. Only and do irrigation, and then protect our environment. Because it is the environment which gives us the rain and the water. I have agreed with both the Ministries of Agriculture on enhanced irrigation and with the Ministry of Environment on restoring our wetlands by promoting fish farming on the edges, instead of drying them with swamp rice growing, restoring the forest etc. We should even agree with the coastal countries, Tanzania and Kenya, on possibly using nuclear energy to desalinate seawater as an insurance in the face of the erraticness of the rain caused by the sabotage, by the mistakes of the global mistake makers. Lack of rain when we don't have irrigation, it would be the only thing that would worry me. That's the one big crisis we should plan for. And in the budgets of special of the other year, we shall have to do much more. On irrigation. In conclusion, I repeat that the only really serious dangers to our future are reliance on only rain-fed agriculture, damage to our environment, and a nuclear war among the mistake makers. We need to advise our friends. The Wazungu, to please find other ways of how to solve these problems. During the State of the Nation address on the 7th of June 2022, I will touch on the issue of the so-called coffee deal. That was being discussed in Parliament the other day. I could see fundamental disorientation in the position of some of the speakers that were speaking in Parliament. Uganda, indeed Africa, being in a slave relationship with the external actors, is not comparable to any other factors. But I will speak on this. On that occasion in detail. I don't want touch here and there. To recapitulate, to summarize, we need to know and do the following. Number one, subsidies for and removing taxes from imported products is definite suicide, because because it will deplete both the family savings and the national reserves, leading to inability to pay for imports, because foreigners beyond East Africa do not accept the Uganda shilling as a unit of exchange. They insist on the dollar, gold it insist on the dollar, gold it insist on the dollar, gold etc. See. Secondly, the correct action is to kukekereza, being frugal, kweremba, or these are the ones from outside, or kubyesonyiwa, getting alternatives for the non-oil items. With the internally produced commodities, I was tempted to look at removing taxes because with these, increased consumption would favor Uganda. However, the tax loss of Uganda shillings 193 billion for sugar, 200 billion for cement, 120 billion from Tayimbwa would cripple our budget and the planned developments. Some of these challenges are temporary. We have been having the phenomenon of low commodity prices, because you remember we had very low prices for matoke. You remember the other year we had very low prices for matoke, very low prices for maize. You remember? Just go back if you remember. Just go back if the other year. Even milk. So this cycle. Low prices. Too much production this year. Then low prices. Then next year we cannot. It's not safe to continue like that. We have been having the phenomenon of low commodity prices, e.g. for maize. It is the continued development of the economy that will get us to the stability of a more integrated economy. Because you see, like for instance, if you say we have got a chengera of maize, too much maize, so the price collapses. That collapsing is artificial. Is artificial. Because although we say we have got too much maize, you find you find that we are still importing animal feed, from Kenya. And yet maize is the ingredient for making chicken feed. So when we said there's too much maize, we are only talking about maize for kaunga. For posho, for ET, for posho, for ET. So what is the answer? The answer is to continue developing. Not to be diverted by these temporary problems. And then you abandon. The long-term answer, which is now develop capacity to use maize fully. Number one, kaunga. Posho. Number two, all types of animal feed. Chicken feed, chicken feed, feed for fish. Because all these are important. How can you say all these are important? How can you say the maize is too much? When you are also importing animal feed, chicken feed from Kenya, you are importing fish meal from somewhere. All this can be made from maize. So rather than be diverted, let's continue. You will find that in future the maize is totally fully used, and the prices are stable because you will broaden the uses. Of maize instead of only being for posho, and when posho is covered, then nobody buys maize, and yet you have maize, and yet you have got other needs. Of maize. It is the continued development of the economy. That will get us to the stability of a more integrated economy. Only a few months ago, I opened a new factory of industrial sugar at Kinyara, because you remember we were quarreling with Kenya, with Tanzania, for not buying our sugar. We had a surplus. We have a surplus. Before the other day, I opened a factory in Chiriandongo. Just 4 days ago, another factory, which is adding another 85,000 tons. So we are now going from 600,000 tons of sugar to 700,000. But our But our internal, our raw sugar for chai, for tea, our consumption for chai, for tea, our consumption for chai, for tea, our consumption is 380,000. So we were crying, ngat food wanange, ebika wanange, ebikado kamara, ebikado sukari. No, but this is all artificial. No, but this is all artificial. Because there is sugar, which is called industrial sugar. It's called industrial sugar, which is needed for making soft drinks, for Coca-Cola, needed for syrups, for medicines. We didn't have that. We were importing medicines. We didn't have that. We were importing it. And I think we were spending like $30 million, and we were importing about 100,000. So we were crying that we had too much sugar, yet we were importing industrial sugar, the refined sugar. So what is the answer? The answer, instead of being diverted, is to develop capacity and like we have done now in Kinyara, we opened the factory for industrial sugar. So apart from the 380,000, which is used for chai, now we have got an extra 100,000, which needs to be processed into industrial sugar, so that we stop importing industrial sugar. And we are also planning to ethanol and use it as petroleum, so that this business of having too much 1 year, and then the prices go down, and then next year we are not likely to have any shortage from the internal products. It is the internal products. It is only the external ones that can be in shortage. Therefore, rather than abort our work, let's continue our work. Let's continue. You will see that we shall cover all these gaps by not stopping. If we stop to Kumagamaga, we shall be creating problems. We shall be creating problems for ourselves. Only a few months ago, I opened a new factory of industrial sugar in Kinyara. This is the sugar that is used in Coca-Cola as refined sugar, different from raw sugar for tea. It is also used for medicines like children's syrups. Its opening was helping us to tackle the issue of surplus sugar. There are plans to get petrol out of our sugar. With that phenomenon of more integrated economy, the instability of a Chengera is the surplus, with low prices today, and then Ebola shortage with high prices tomorrow will be tamed. So that we have, even for the producers, it will be better. For instance, with the milk producers, we went from 200 million liters, now we are at 2.8 billion liters of milk. And when we are depending only on liquid milk, the market had disappeared. But then we went to powdered milk, which could be taken out. And later on, there is a factory in Yantonde there, after Yantonde, producing what they call casein, making protein out of milk. So you find that to get out of this erraticness, too much production, low prices, then people go bankrupt and run out, and then there's a shortage. It is to develop a broad spectrum of industrial capacity, which covers not only one item, not liquid milk only, not just powdered milk, but also the proteins out of the milk, but also the butter, the ghee, and all that, so that the product is fully used. The other day I was having a meeting with the Indians. They are coming to work with us how to use the banana stem, the banana stem. Forget about the banana for eating. Even the stem for eating. Even the stem omtumba. The stem omtumba. The stem itself has got so many uses. We can make textiles. We can make textiles out of banana. Of banana fibers, textiles. We can make fibers. Textiles. We can make fertilizers. We can make even nutritional something. Omnyoma weight touch. The core there apparently has got some. The core there apparently has got some nutritional values. So it is that development that will stabilize what we are doing. So therefore, rather than being diverted now, we recommend that you Ugandans support the forward movement as we see out these temporary situations without abandoning our march. With the petrol, diesel and paraffin, the artificial crisis of the Bazungu has added another $34. We're engaging the involved actors on this. When we succeed here, we shall remain with original reason of the fossil fuels being worried about the clean energy sources. That will be much better than where we are now. It is important for Ugandans to know that even when we get our own petroleum, we cannot sell it below the world prices. Minus transport costs. Because even when we get our own petroleum, we have to sell it at world prices, minus transport, because we shall not include the cost going to the ocean or coming from the ocean. But otherwise, you cannot sell it below the market price, because if you do, you create the other problem of incentive for smuggling, where they buy cheap here, they go, where they buy cheap here, they go, where they buy cheap here, they go and sell in Congo, they go and sell, and sell in Congo, they go and sell. It's not. All these things need planning and strategy, not emotions. With these few words, I thank everybody and I wish you good luck. Thank you very much. Wish you good luck. Thank you very much.